Surprise! I am in Athens in Greece and I came here absolutely for free with one of my travel hacks, and I'm going to show you how.
I got my sights set on it, the highest mountain we can climb, and when we reach the summit.
So I'm going to put this little hole-in-the-wall juice bar, and I'm going to try a local Greek delicacy called spanakopita. It is spinach and cheese in a pastry, not vegan but still vegetarian. So I'm going to have a try of that and a black coffee.
Pieces inside our hearts collide.
Just walked out onto this ledge that overlooks the entire city. That's literally a cliff. I got up early and came up this hill just after sunrise, and I haven't seen anyone else here. It is awesome for taking photos and video, but it can be a little bit scary too, because something happened. No one would hear me scream. Okay, I did start to get a little bit scared then, so I walked quite briskly, but I've just made it to an actual path. Civilization, I'm coming for you. How did I get here for free? Well, it all comes into playing it smart when you're booking your flights. I personally use Skyscanner to look for flights. So I'll jump on the computer right now and show you exactly how I have these little hacks to get the cheapest flights possible. So I had to go to Europe anyway for a friend's wedding in France, but it was in the south of France, so it wasn't at the main airport in Paris. So first of all, obviously, we look up flights from Perth to the location that I want to be at. Let's pretend the wedding is on Saturday the 8th of February. I would usually like to get to a location before a wedding maybe on the Wednesday. Sometimes you've got to get trains to different towns and get settled in at your destination. So first of all, Perth to Marseille, and we go February. Now this, you just select whole month. You don't go specific date, you want to go whole month. February 2020, we'll go one way, search flights. So just for the ease of this video, we'll keep it as one way so that there's only one thing to look at, but the same principle applies to both. So we'll just say if we're going direct, we're going on the Wednesday. $645 is actually pretty good one way to Europe. So you just wait for it to load. Usually it'll drop down in price. Yep, it's just going through, finding all the different flights. Now this is choosing best, and best includes like the shortest stopovers, the most kind of comfortable flights, fewer, you know, self-transfer and that kind of thing. That's not ideal, but we're looking for cheapest. So let's click on cheapest. Oh, there we go, it's a self-transfer. So stopping in Bangkok and London. So you get a whole day in London. That is cool, except for the fact that it's self-transfer, which means you will have your check-in baggage with you because you have to check out and check back in, which means it's not actually an ideal stopover because you can't check in your luggage for the next flight until 3 hours before that leaves. So really, you're going to be hanging around the airport for a bit of time during that. So we'll just go back. If we were to go anywhere in Europe, so we don't have to go directly there, and this is the key thing that I always keep in mind. So the way I always find the cheapest flight to a continent or an area that's quite far away where the flights are typically expensive is I just select this everywhere. So can't decide where, and it's February 2020, search flights. Now this is going to come up with random deals from Perth to all different countries on the month of February 2020. So I just then scroll down looking for one in Europe. So the cheapest one in Europe, oh, they're all Asia. There we go, Germany, $309 from Perth to Germany. That is insane. And that is especially awesome if you're planning a Europe trip because Germany is super central for getting the trains. So you can travel super easy by train all across Europe. So when I was booking, that wasn't coming up. So Greece is the second cheapest European destination, which was the cheapest when I booked. So I thought it would be perfect to be able to come and see Athens because I've never been to Greece before. So this has given me a chance to see a new country, a new city, and all for free. And because I travel so cheaply, once you factor in the accommodation and, you know, some food for a few days, I still am coming out on top. So I've actually saved money by getting a holiday here to Athens. How cool is that? But for the sake of this video, February 2020, we're going to Germany. Let's have a look. Berlin. Berlin is an awesome town to check out. So we're pretending the wedding is on Saturday, the 8th of February. We want to arrive in our final destination a few days before that, and we want to have a couple of days layover in Berlin. So let's have a look at Monday the 3rd. Obviously, if you're kind of free and not tied with work commitments, you can completely play this to the cheapest flights and just kind of work your way around based on when the cheap flights are. But we're giving ourselves a restriction because we're being realistic here. I know a lot of people have full-time jobs and can only get a certain amount off work. So cheapest, $422 with Scoot, and that is exactly who I flew with to Greece. Now this is really good to keep in mind because you can book on Skyscanner, but you could also go directly to the airline and book with them. And Expedia is the next one, which is coming up, which is also a really reputable third-party booking agent. Some of these are the weird ones I kind of stay away from if I'm booking in advance and you don't really know what could happen. It's usually a lot harder to change your luggage or change your dates or anything like that if you book through a third party, like these kind of more budget crazy ones, and often they will be the cheapest ones. So it's really good that this is coming up with like decent booking agents to get this price. So let's just check out. So it's stopping over in Singapore for almost 24 hours. The times of this stopover isn't great because you're arriving at 1:30 in the morning and then leaving at 1:10 in the morning the following day. So for a stopover, it's not totally ideal because you probably would need to check in to a place for 2 nights if you want to be totally comfortable. I'm a pretty budget light traveler. I'm pretty happy to check out at lunchtime, just leave my bag at the hotel lobby, or usually they have, you know, like a locker storage if you're in a backpackers, and just go exploring for the whole day, have dinner, go get my luggage at night, and then go to the airport. Some people prefer to just have a place where they can go back and shower and chill before they go back to the airport. So you could do it. 2 nights is still, you know, Singapore is cheap. So then you're actually getting double. You're getting Singapore and you're getting Berlin. So let's now check out. So we go into another tab and then we check out Berlin to our final destination, which is Marseille. Whoop, learn how to type. Marseille, February. And it's gotta be, so we're arriving in Berlin. See that little +22? That's because you're obviously flying out on Monday, so you're actually going to be arriving on Wednesday the 5th. So, I mean, just pretend for the sake of this, we're going on the 6th, $69. So say we just want to have 1 night in Berlin, there we go. 56 schmackos to get from Berlin to our final destination, plus the $422, that is under $500 compared to if we went direct, it's $644. That's giving you about $150 to play with for accommodation, which is more than enough. So you're effectively getting a free flight. I know when you fly weekends, it tends to be more expensive. But we'll just have a look, because I mean, really, if you're finishing work on the Friday, you may as well try and leave on the weekend rather than flying out on the Monday. Oh, shitballs, that's really cheap. Whoa, that is awesome. Perth to Berlin on a Saturday for $382. That is insane. And so you don't even have to stuff around in Singapore. So this here would be my ideal flight 100%, because then you're maximizing your whole weekend. So you finish work on Friday and then you're already traveling straight away from the Saturday arvo. So maybe let's have a look then. Wednesday would be soon enough to get over to our final destination. So you can see here how much the flights really do change on different days. On the Thursday it's 56, and here on the Wednesday it's 116, which is pretty much double. So, I mean, you can kind of, there is a way where, here, show whole month chart. this one. Especially when you're on the iPhone app, the chart is really easy and you can, it's like really graphic. I'm a visual person. So some it doesn't show if it doesn't have easy direct flights. It's too hard for it to calculate. So you've just got to kind of tap through and have a look. So a few things to keep in mind is if you are traveling super cheap, try to take hand luggage only. Check what the limits are for the different airlines if you are taking different airlines, because they all have different hand carry limits. Mine was 10 kilos on the way over there, and I did have a self-transfer with only about 3 hours in between, so I was nervous about in case one of the earlier flights was going to be late, having enough time to check in. So that's why I just took hand carry only, so that I didn't even have to go through immigration or get my bags or anything. I could just go straight from one gate to the next to make sure I could get all the way through. So for that reason, on this trip, I only took one camera. I didn't take a tripod, and I was super light in what I was taking. And I was traveling for a month in Europe with just carry-on with a camera. So if I can do it, you can definitely do it too. Obviously, if you are a professional videographer or photographer and you have work on while you're there, you might want to think about checking luggage in. That does add the cost up. I think with Scoot, the costs are about $50 Australian per flight. So this is obviously 2 flights to get there, so that's an extra $100. But overall, it's still a crazy cheap flight. And one other thing to keep in mind is you don't always have to fly where you're going. So I always check Rome to Rio, because sometimes in Europe, particularly when you're going to like neighboring countries, it's actually way easier to get a train, particularly if you do have luggage and you are paying that excess check-in fee for your baggage, because on trains you don't have to pay anything extra and they don't even weigh it, so you can get away with way more luggage on a train. This is, you can see it's a considerable distance to get from there to there, so the train is super expensive compared to budget flights. But if you're just going from like, one country to another, anywhere around Europe, it's usually quite cheap and easy to travel by train, so that is my #1 preference. But for getting from Australia to Europe, Skyscanner is the way to go, and this is how I pretty much always get cheap flights, and this is how I also kind of let fate decide where I'm gonna go sometimes, because I had no plans to go to Greece, but because of these cheap flights, I ended up there, and I was actually really happy with how the trip turned out. And I was also very impressed with Scoot Airlines. They are obviously a budget airline, so I kind of have these visions of being like, woo, like cramped up in the plane. And for the long distance one, I actually slept about 8 hours, which was incredible. So I didn't actually need, like I had some little, being vegetarian, I always carry snacks around in my bag anyway. I snacked on a muesli bar, and then when I woke up from my epic plane sleep, just ordered a coffee, and then that was fine really until I got to my destination. So you don't always need all these trimmings that come on flights. So just always have like 50 tabs open, look up every possible idea. And this explore function, holy moly, let's get out my little calculator. 382 plus 56 equals $438 to get from Perth to France. And we're getting a free holiday at another destination because we have booked really smart with our flights, and the extra money that we've saved we can use on the accommodation along the way and some food. So that is how I always get the best deals anywhere I fly, is playing with this little everywhere button. Another good really website to get on board with is I Know the Pilot. Now these guys, you sign up with your email address, they email you the craziest deals. Like every time there's an airline having a crazy sale, you get it to your inbox. You actually set your location, so it's always coming to you with flights from your home city to where you want to go. So today's one is telling me I can fly to Bali from $172 return, which is really good. It's just finding you the best deals across all airlines all the time. Fly to Ireland, a $986 return on Etihad and Qatar. That's pretty good. They're full service airlines. I usually mostly ignore all the, boring email junk that comes in. But every time I Know the Pilot comes through, I always just have a very quick speed read just to see, because if there's a destination I'm thinking about going to, it might come up for some crazy ass cheap deal and then I can just jump on and book it. Let me know in the comments if there's any other websites or little tricks that I'm missing, because I'm always all ears to hear about how to get the cheapest travel. But this is my top tips and I hope you've enjoyed them to find out how the hell I got to Greece. So I hope you found this little tip of mine useful for you, and I hope that you can also get some free travel. I'm Roxanne Taylor. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please click subscribe to my YouTube channel, Roxanne Taylor Media, and I'll see you somewhere else in the world soon.